live, faces, camera, and mic. Mic, camera, live. Okay. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I tied up my hat into like a kind of hat bun, or just to make my face look like a rocket or something, like the end of a kind of, I don't know. I don't even know what it is that I'm thinking of when I say that, but it just kind of reminded me. Okay, welcome to the last Raft stream. Um, so this is, well, I guess the last time I'll say this, but well, the last time I'll say this for the Raft project. But yeah, I'm so sorry and annoyed with myself for starting so late. Today it was just stomach problems again. I mean, it's kind of black cat. So it was white cat last time, wasn't it? Black cat this time. Yeah, I get trolled by stomach problems. I would say every week. I would say, yeah, 3 times every fortnight. Let's put it that way. Or some nice fraction. I don't know. But what the fuck is this insect? What the hell was that? It was like a flying ant, just with like spindly limbs. You know the ones. Fuck knows. Okay. This camera's a bit close. So the stream title is "Getting Ready ASAP After My Stomachache." Okay, let me just change that. How do I? There's gotta be a way of changing that from within Streamlabs. Is there really not? Can I not like? I mean, I can moderate chat, but I don't think I can. All right, let's fix it. Okay, fuck it. We're gonna have some channel inception here. There's not gonna be like a mic feedback loop because of the latency.
It's the super duper cut.
I'm getting an ad on my own stream. That's marvelous. I did not realize that was a thing. Holy fucking shit. Okay, let's fix this. So this is DistSys 2 Raft live 30 last stream. Last stream of Raft. Okay, something like that. I'm not usually this disorganized. Please? Did Twitch fail? Thankfully, this stream is not going to have a whole lot of. If it works. This stream is not going to have a whole lot of content or anything like that. So I'm not even that mad that things are just kind of sloppy today. Today is my epilogue stream. I finished what is an extremely long and difficult project. Probably the hardest programming and computer science type thing that I've done, and so I have to say I'm quite happy to have finished, and yeah, I'm not gonna let all this shit get to me. Bit of a stomach ache, and then I was like, okay, I'll start at. Okay, that looks like the correct stream title. Jesus Christ. I'll be like, okay, I'll start at 22:20, I said, and then I started 10 minutes late because my mum picked another fight. I think it's about 5 or 6 streams that have been just affected by her picking fights. She just, because what happens is kind of, I schedule, I always schedule in advance when I'm going to stream, and so I say, like, okay, I'm streaming now. And for her, it's kind of like, um, you know, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. This is just some sort of selfishness. It's kind of like. Wait, sorry. Let me sort my camera out. This should be a bit further down, so that if I sit back, I'm just sort of in the middle of the shot. Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, how can you be doing something at this particular time? I should be able to get your attention whenever I want to, that kind of thing. And then it's just like, instant argument that happens to always coincide with what I'm doing for that reason. I can't be doing anything. You know, if I'm doing something, that's her cue to argue, pretty much. But I mean, that's happened so many times now, I'm used to it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I thought this had gone out of focus because I moved the camera about so much. So focus is very, very precise angle. If you want to clip through the door, very precise angle. There's actually I think there's a dead fly. Oh, it's not even dead. Oh, yeah, there was like a flea or something stuck to the camera. It was a tiny insect. It was like less than the size of a mouse cursor, but on the camera lens. But it seems to have gone now, so that's all good. This really as focused as it gets. Like, seriously, this camera, man, manually focused and just so difficult to focus. Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good angle. Sorry, a good focal position. No, turn my screen off. You can't even tell I did that. It just turns the laptop. I think it turns the backlight off. That's what happened. I want to get rid of the laptop key light as well, which is just one of those premium features in an Ultrabook that's absolutely useless. Alright, got rid of it. Cool. I did not want to pay my good money for that. Alright, anyway, that's enough gassing. Let's finish Raft up. Let's finish it. So, the point where we left it last is pretty simple, right? So Raft, the whole project has live camera, mic. The whole project has 17 tests, right? And so we just sat down and ran them all because I finished the project. I just needed to test to make sure that I finished it. So I'm going to show you guys the outcome of this. So, you know, at the end of last stream, I said, okay, this is what I'm going to test. And it was just, yeah, run 17 tests, all 17 of them, run them 200 times. So that took a few hours, but I just left it going because each test takes 3 minutes approximately. And then just take a look at the results, and here they are. 200 runs. A pass is when, you know, the time is printed, so it takes about 3 minutes. And a fail, it literally prints fail. And so if we just scroll through this, you can see fail, 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 and then you're done now. 132 passes in a row. I wrote about this on Twitter because I was so gassed about it. It was just exciting to get that. You know, this means that I've done it. It means that it works, and you can see it's running in less than 3 minutes, whereas the MIT said I should be aiming for less than 4 minutes, and it certainly is always less than 4. I'm not sure I can be bothered to copy this into, you know, reformat it and put it in like a spreadsheet or CSV and figure out like the average, but we can figure out. Actually, I'll just load all of this in Visual Studio Code. We can figure out the the extreme one, so how the fastest possible run and the slowest one, the maximum and the minimum time, just by looking at the thing which is here. So yeah, let's just do some control Fing. Space 1. So what's the fastest it ran first of all? 160. What's the easiest way of figuring this out? I think we can be pretty certain that all of the times were, well, we can be certain that all of the times were, as you can see, 3-digit numbers, right? 3 digits before the decimal point. And you can see that just, yeah, by looking at tracking how this number varies and the 3 digits and whatever. So the first one is 1. The first one is never, yeah, you can see the first one's never 2, never 3, never 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 1, 0. Well, no, the 1 zeros are like, oh, this should be a space. 1 0, 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 6 0 1 2 1 6 2. Point. Oh, white cat. Shiny. It's always looking for mice, because there's a spot in my neighborhood where there are mice. And so the white cat is just sniffing around because it knows there are mice. I think, to be honest, there's a drain there that used to be open, and it was just kind of chilling outside this family's house, and they were just kind of standing around it, socializing by day. Thankfully, they've stopped now. God knows why, but like, good riddance. It was just annoying listening to loud chavs, to be honest. But there was an open sewer right next to where they were standing the whole time, like a little drain. And I once saw a rat just walk into it. And then a few days later, the council covered it, as in they blocked it with like a grate. So I'm wondering if the rat is still there for starters, and I'm wondering because the cat that came through was sniffing that drain. So I'm thinking maybe it noticed the rat was there, but it's never going to be able to get it, and the rat's never going to be able to get out. So it's quite funny how that's worked out. Yeah, this is easily the fastest run that we've had. 1.624, that's the only one. That's the only 1.162. We had three 163s, six 164s, four 165s. What was the slowest run we had? So we've not had any twos or threes, whatever. 1.9 space. Nope. 1.8.9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, so 182. 182674 is the slowest run. I should have just copied these damn numbers and put them somewhere like here. So the range of run times was 162.423 and 182.674. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me what the average is or anything. It's just pretty much always under 3 minutes, right? The amount of times we had that were over 3 minutes is tiny. It's seven out of 197 passing tests were over 180 seconds, and so that is pretty convincingly less than 3 minutes, which is cool. Okay, let's get back on track. So the point is, right, I ran these 200 tests. 3 of them failed. Should we figure out which tests exactly failed? We can do that as well. Because I have the logs printed. My tester prints all the logs for all the tests that fail. So this one, for example, has a bunch of pasts, but the last past, right, this corresponds to test 14, and the reason I know that is because the test that was run after this, figure 8 unreliable, is test 15. And I'll show you that, because if you look at the tests, there are 17 tests, we counted them earlier. And this is the last one, this is number 16, so 17, 16, and then this is 15, because they're all run in order. No, sorry, this isn't a test, this is just the churn. Test is, everything that is a test, I think, starts with test capitalized. So we can just scroll to the next func, scroll up along this line, the next func that has the test in the start of its name, which is here. So test figure 8 unreliable 2C is the same as the test that failed, right? Figure 8 unreliable. And the test failed in such a way that it crashed the entire tester, so the last 2 tests didn't even run, which is kind of funny. So I can't actually say that I ran all the tests 200 times, because this one crashed, like it failed. It just says, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, dear Lord, look at how far I have to scroll. Right, it says fail, but you'll notice like there's no passed after that one, because I found the last pass, the number 14 pass, and then figure 8 unreliable happens after that, so nothing passed after here, but then I scroll all the way to the bottom, and it just, there's an apply error, and that completely crashes the whole thing. Apply errors are unfortunate. I really wish my program never made them, but I feel like perfection is just too optimistic, so it's fine. Failure after 110 seconds. That's far too fast. because it ran a figure. It should have only had about. Oh no, it's not too fast. Sorry, because the churns are about 15 seconds each, and this unreliable figure 8 is about 30 seconds, so total of 60, and then it's like 170 minus 60 is 110, so that checks out. Seems like it just failed immediately though, even though it logged so much stuff. Couldn't tell you what happens, but it doesn't matter. It failed once. So this is, like I said, the test that failed is C6. Not exactly an easy test. We've had that one fail a few times, and C7 and 8 did not even get run. Right, 43. Let's look at the next one. So this passed 16 tests, which means it failed precisely one, and we can find that just by doing this. So it says test fail agree is the one that failed. And test fail agree is one of the 2B tests, basic agree, and then 2A. So this is 2A, this is the first 2B1, 2B1, and this is 2B2. So B2 is the test that failed here. Bit of a random one to fail, to be honest. I don't think that one failed in the previous test, 200 tests, but there it is. And this one passed again 16 times. Which test failed? Oh, no agree. No agree failed again, okay. So... Oh wait, this is no agree that failed, rather than agree. So we just said, this is the last 2A test, this is 2B1, this is 2B2, and so if we scroll, fail, no agree. Fail, no agree. This is B3. So yeah, we failed a different test each time. 200 full runs of the test suite, 197 full passes, and then the other three, one of them failed B2 and passed all the others, one of them failed B3 and passed all the others, and one of them failed C6 and crashed the test, so C7 and C8 were not tested, but passed all the others. Funny that, isn't it? So yeah, I'll put that in my meta document. B2, 1 fail. B3, 67, sorry, 1 fail. C6, 1 fail. All other tests passed, all 200, 199 if C7, C8 times, and that's it. So, I mean, it's not too hard to figure out the percentages here in 200 tests. Or 199, I'm not a perfectionist enough to run C7 and C8 one more time just to fill in the last test. But it's like 100%, and all of these are 99.5%. So all the tests passed at least 99.5% of the time with 199 tests, which is definitely finished. That's very, very, very reliable indeed. Even if we assume C7 and C8 failed once, it's still 99.5% for every test that failed. And these two didn't fail. Do you know what? I am enough of a perfectionist. I'm going to run one more instance of the full test. Oh dear Lord, it's gonna print everything because I forgot to turn printing off. Never mind, I'll just leave it to print everything. The fact that it's printing things is going to slow it down though, so we might actually get a few extra failures as a result, but hopefully it'll be okay. Yeah, the last few tests are gonna struggle with printing everything because you can see the size of the numbers that are getting sent in as data. Oh, it's gonna be crazy, isn't it? I mean, this is gonna block up the entire console as well, isn't it? Well, do you know what? I'm gonna YOLO it, and so it's just gonna say passed at the end, and so C7 and C8, under normal circumstances where everything else has also been tested beforehand, will also pass. You're damn right, I say. Well, we'll see what happens, but no biggie. I mean, either way, that's definitely done. Raft is finished. We've passed all the tests at least, at least, whoops, every test. Pass of 199 tries. And when this finishes, I can put that up to 200 if I really want to. But yeah, it's pretty simple. What can I say? That's how we finish. And so from there is nothing that is left to do. I'm completely happy to leave it there. Going forward, so in terms of the state, let me just check that. Jesus Christ, at what point did my camera freeze? I'm sorry about that. Did I spend all that time just talking with my face like, God, I feel like such an idiot. Like, how did I do that? I check that meticulously every time. This is the first time I fucked that up. That's a shame. That's going to kill my confidence slightly for future tests, but yeah, that's nothing I can do, I guess, because Streamlabs is a bit shit, Because I was trying to just read the camera's input directly, as you would normally, and the settings were all wrong for some reason. I think it was like some sort of exposure setting was just set to the wrong number or something, and so it's just, what in the fuck? Windows are opening. Windows in my house? That's sketchy. My mum said she was asleep, but she isn't. Do you think she's overheating? Well, I mean, there's no way I'm going to be able to figure out what's going on without getting up. Like, the light is on in the corridor and everything, so it's like... God, I feel like such a dumbass. Just my face was frozen for, like, probably the whole 20 minutes. I mean... Did I not check that? Anyway, sorry. Doesn't matter too much. Epilogue stream is continuing. I can't believe it's almost 11 p.m. This was meant to be done so much earlier, but I just could not handle it. Could not handle my stomach. Could not handle my mum, basically. Oh, is this done? Hey, this is what I mean. See, I was so confident I was just going to pass. Okay. And even with print debugging slowing it down, it still was not as slow as the slowest of the tests. So. Such booky noises outside. Alright, let's, do you know what, I'll go ahead and just bundle all these tests away into a separate folder. Whoops. Yeah, I'll look at that later. God, okay, Streamlabs, please don't freeze the fucking camera, please be good. It's just, I don't know. It's based on open source software that is just, every piece of open source software you've seen in your life, it's just unreasonably buggy. Open source is kind of unfortunately laboured with that. The voluntariness of it just means that there tends to not be any kind of control, any kind of responsibility for bugs. It's just how it goes. I guess that is a victory of capitalism if you think about it. Alright, yeah, let's put this in a new folder. So this is third run of the test, the final run. Actually, yeah, do you know what? I'll title it the final run. It's the final countdown. That's probably the wrong key. Alright, cool. Sorry, let me just put that to the side. This fucking window keeps resizing itself. Plus, Yeah, okay, cool. Anyway, sorry, I got fully distracted by all that, by like the camera. I feel like I'm streaming for the very first time in my life with just how disorganized everything is with this epilogue stream, but it doesn't bother me none because, this stream is not actually like, I'm not doing any programming, I'm just chilling and kind of, it's closure for my Raft project, which ended. So I'm just going to be saying, thoughts for the future, looking back a bit, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's literally just going to be a chill. So I'm not even that bothered about performing for the public. I'm just going to do it in my way to celebrate the end of Raft. And I think I will start. God, I'm so paranoid now. You don't understand. Okay, camera is now fine. Microphone is fine. Live is live. I'm gonna probably start Undertale tonight. Undertale, look. Ah, if I click here, things will go wrong, won't they? Undertale. I installed Steam as well. I wish I could go without installing Steam, but fuck it. I want to play Undertale. Everything is on Steam because Monopoly. No one owns anything. Just pirate everything. It's fine. Yes. This is what freezes the. I realize now. This is what freezes the camera. I can't actually click on the desktop button. That's probably what I did last time and what led to the freeze. So show desktop is just not on. I can't really use the desktop at all when I'm streaming like this because the camera gets minimized and then it freezes as a result. Live, camera, mic. Cool. Okay, let's go. Budge the camera down. Okay. Mic, 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 live. In terms of the future of my source code, my lovely source code, I'm not going to be editing anything more today, I don't think. I could even kill the terminal, get rid of it. I'm not going to be editing anything more today, but basically, I'm certainly not done editing the Raft code because I'm going to be building in the future, project 3. The next project, so this is project 2 out of 4 for MIT, that's what I've just finished. So project 3 will be a key value server based on Raft. Project 4 will be sharding of the key value server based on Raft. And so everything is on Raft, right? It's going to be using my Raft implementation. And what that means is that I'm going to be, project 3, I'm going to have to implement snapshotting in Raft, which is persistence of not just logs, but it's not even standard persistence. Persistence is all about it can just it saves its state, so it can load its state when it restarts. But this is more, the log is getting too long. I need to dump it somewhere to save memory, save bits of it to the hard drive, and so that's okay. I didn't need to implement that for project 2, but MIT is saying project 3, there's going to be a bit of that. So I'm going to be going through the code in the future is basically what I'm saying. This very same code and couple of things. I mean, I have this scrap documentation, and some of that is stuff that I would like to keep up to date. So this where it says code so far, for example, this is really only covers part A, and it would be nice to go through the code because I was changing it so much and summarize exactly how it works for part B. So this is probably what I'm going to do at the beginning of project 3. Because I have finished Raft, I don't want to do it now, even though it is part of Raft. Summarizing all that. This is stuff that I'm going to need for project 3, and so it'll be good revision, discussion, whatever, to do a bit of that at the beginning of project 3. I'm going to leave all of this more or less untouched. I might bundle it into a new folder and reorganize all this, but then I have to change the links in my VODs, but it should be fine. Oh yeah, the legacy files, God those. You remember this from MapReduce, where MIT left in files corresponding to projects that had been removed from the coursework. It's just crazy. Paxos. They actually have the word Paxos in them. It's crazy. Paxos has been replaced with Raft. Wait. Um, yeah, so live, camera, mic. So yeah, that kind of stuff, is stuff that I'm going to be doing at the very beginning of Project 3. I'm going to go through and summarize how my code works exactly, have the implementation detail written up, those design decisions that I changed every now and again to fix bugs. Um, oh yeah, one thing I should say, at the end of last session I was saying, I'm going to retest it with faster, cutting down all of the timeouts values, because I had all these constants that were determining how fast Raft runs, so I can show you them here. The timeouts and randomization and stuff. So I reduced all of these somewhat, and then I ran the tests, and they're passing 99.5% with, these constants, and so all good. These constants are stable, they work. It's kind of like overclocking. You want to optimize the constants, but you just, you don't know the limit until it fails. So it's kind of like overclocking, just shifting the constants down, and I can probably cut them down a bit further, to be honest. Some of them, I'm surprised this works. I think that this seems really too short for me, that's how fast the heartbeat timeout, heartbeats happen, because this is the amount of time it takes between sending and checking if a response has been received by the leader. And it's like 50 milliseconds. That's tiny. You can imagine a computer sending a message to another computer in 50 milliseconds and getting a response. I mean, fair enough. It is that fast, but it still seems like a really aggressive time limit. I don't know if MIT implemented real world speeds for their RPC library, because it uses Go channels. It doesn't use actual RPCs, unlike the MapReduce project, which was a bit buggier. As a result, it didn't work on Windows, for example. And so I think that's why they switched to fake RPCs instead of real ones. But hopefully, they're not too fast. But my code is just, I can slow down the numbers. Because with my original numbers, for example, the code was still running at like 200 seconds for the tests, whereas now it's more like 175. So it made it a bit faster. It's not a massive change. 200 to 175. It's 210 actually to 175. I guess it's significant, but you take my point. None of it's like fundamental to whether the code is good enough or not. It was faster than 4 minutes. That's all we care about. Honestly, that's all we care about. Live camera mic. Gonna be doing that a bit now because I'm paranoid since I froze it. It's just something. I'm amazed in 30 streams since I've been using this new camera setup. Or has it been 30? I think it has been. I'm amazed in all that time. This is the first time I fucked that up. Well, I guess it had to happen eventually. Well, all the lights are off in my house again, but the window's still open, so fuck knows. I wonder if my mum's still alive. Alright, yeah, so... But I mean, if I flick through the rest of my notes, it's kind of... there's this to-do list. By the way, I looked at this the other day. Check notes in Raft paper about next index optimization. It's funny because I completely forgot I had to do that. I didn't look in my to-do list. And yeah, the exact mistake that I made with the next index optimization and fixed when I reread the original project code. Sorry, the fucking hell speaking. The coursework. Fucking God, I get so frustrated with myself when I can't think of which words to use to represent, MIT's problem sheets, the coursework sheets. like the website that talks about the coursework and tells you what to do, that has to have a name. Why the fuck can I not think of it? I'm so annoyed. Anyway, I read that, and that's how, because I wanted to look for hints, because I was getting stuck debugging something, and this was it, and this was exactly what was causing the bug. Ridiculous. This seems to work, so, you know, it's just confusion over a pointer / non-pointer value and reference. I'm going to just remove it because it seems to work, and this is also, I guess, unnecessary. Yeah, if it works, then it works. I'm completely fine to just leave an empty to-do list. In fact, just delete the to-do list. I'll make a new to-do list when the time comes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, all my scrap notes, I'll just put them in a folder, and, you know, in another legacy folder, because this was my MapReduce scrap folder. And then I'll just leave it there. So yeah, that's that. What else did I want to look at in my epilogue? Get a bit more oxygen in me, to be honest. Yeah, there is one thing, you know, the tester is actually modified compared to, because I put in some print statements in the tester, so it's not the absolute original tester, but I was careful. All that I did was I put in these print statements because I was trying to debug something. So I can just remove all of those. It's basically just doing a reversion. Oh, actually, do you know what I can do? I can just do the thing that I did previously when I wanted to revert this file, and just go into DS. If I press backspace, that doesn't actually go up. I have to fucking type this, don't I? Or if I think I can do Alt up, and yeah, that works. Alt up is up, Alt left and Alt right are back and forward. That's quite useful to remember when navigating folders. Okay, but yeah, I mean, I don't know why I don't do that more, to be honest. But yeah. So let's just copy it in. So Raft test. What did I change in config? Oh no, these are just the like errors that it's talking about. Okay. Config, persister, and test. I'm just going to copy those back into this folder and replace. So this is just the original stuff that I wasn't supposed to edit, but I edited it just to make debugging a bit easier, but now that I'm done with that, I can fix it all up. No need to test it again, because, like, for real, I didn't make any changes. You can even check, you know, the difference between my test. This is all the stuff that was in there. When I was running my stress test, all that was there was a few print statements. And these print statements are just pure one line of text. They don't even reference, you know, any of the variables. There's no introspection or anything. It's just print statements. So, and those are the only changes, as you can see here. Yeah, there's no red anywhere over here, and so it's just like these 6 lines. That's what I mean, you know, and the others didn't even change when I replaced them, so all good. Debug.go, you know, may as well, I guess, turn all the print debugging off. This is just not important. Debug.sh. How did this revert back to go test run test? This file seems to have gone back in time, doesn't it? How did I manage to do that? I didn't. Did I copy and paste debug.sh? No, I didn't. So, well, who the hell cares? It's just whatever. It is what it is. Nothing to really care about there. Just me, I guess, messing about with my files. What was I gonna? I feel a bit deoxygenated. I have to be. I have to be honest, it's just so hard for me to get oxygen for some reason. Maybe I'll just set the fan to blow into my face a bit. The laptop's currently completely chilled out. But now that I've done this, the temperature is going to go up, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess this is stream number 30 out of the 30 streams that it took me to finish Raft, and I still cannot quite believe it took that long, to be honest. It took a crazy amount of time. It's like, I don't know, MapReduce only took 7 sessions. You can see here, actually, if I look through my Twitch collections, so I had Twitch open for this moment. I clicked on the fucking tab. I don't understand, why am I getting so annoyed by these things? Because it's just like I've been struggling with this stuff all my life and it's just never been fixed. But you can see, okay, the MapReduce collection, the MapReduce playlist, if I click on it, is 17 hours and 37 minutes of work. That's how long it took me to stream MapReduce. This doesn't respond to pause commands until you click it until it actually loads. Okay, it's paused. Twitch is really abysmal piece of front-end coding. Yeah, so 17 hours and 37 minutes to finish all this. Post-project chill, and maybe I should call this the post-project chill. Epilogue. Raft? This is the thing, I haven't actually put all of it into VODs yet. I've covered the first 26 sessions. But I was in the middle of doing 27, but then my stomach meant that I didn't have enough time. I was cutting up VODs session 27. And then I'll do 28 and 29 as well as this one. And so that'll add up to about another 5 hours, and so it'll end up being like 65 hours and 44, which is, compared to 17 hours, it's about 4 times longer. The number of sessions definitely increased from 7 to 30, about 4 times longer. It's crazy how much harder this is, how much of a step up this is compared to MapReduce. MapReduce was really just a complete baby project. But they'll give you the same amount of time to do MapReduce as they do to do, not necessarily the whole of Raft, but like a part of Raft. I looked at those deadlines that MIT posted. I can show you them here actually. The MapReduce lab, okay fine, that had like 1 deadline. Raft had 3 deadlines, but they were all only 1 week each, and so still just incredible step up in workloads. It was just a bit mental, to be honest. I don't know. The struggle, and you can see it here as well. How the project went. I mean, the total number of videos in the VODs, like session 26 is going to be 3, and so there are 80, and then 27, 8, 9, and 30 I need to still cut up. Oh, sorry, no, 27 is going to be 3. So 28, 9, and 30, and those are going to cut up like probably into about another 6. So it'll end up being 86. 86 VODs. So long. The very first one I did 3 months ago. Can you fucking believe it? It says here, 7th of June, and it's now the 10th of September. I put in a big rush to try to finish this before my really busy June to July periods, mid-June to mid-July, where I was busy with watching GDQ, watching the World Cup, going to Cambridge, that kind of stuff, and I had the concert on the 14th, Cheska and Waldo's Gift in Peckham, which was kind of meant to be, mark the end of this, and I was like, yeah, I'm sure I can just get Raft done and all that in that time from the 7th to the 14th. Get the whole of Raft done in that time. Wow, was I wrong? It took me that long to do MapReduce. I did it in a week. But Raft, I got up to sort of here where it says recap, the beginning of the recap. So, this epilogue here. I managed to do the first part of Raft in 6 sessions, and then the rest of it took another 24 sessions, and so it's barely scratching the surface. Back on it, intro to Raft, getting started, the code, explore the source code, then just trying to get my head around the theory, the blueprint, summarize it, the demo, maybe that helps. Have to recap it because it made no sense, try to sketch 2A, and then okay. I actually did start part A quite fast, relatively speaking, in Sesh 4, although with MapReduce I started even earlier than that. I was reading about logs, I was reading about how to interrupt sleep, which is now something I'm confident about. You just put in a go select loop, where select pulls from the first channel that triggers. And so the interrupt is just time.after, which is a just-in-time channel created to send a trigger, a message, after a particular delay. And you just put that in, parallelize that in the select block with whatever you're actually doing, and infinitely loop it if need be. And then that's how it gets interrupted. Easy. This is an interesting head setup, but why not? Please, Twitch, don't die just yet. Yeah, then I was, step 3, step 4, step 5. Question 2A was split up kind of a 7-part implementation process. I still have it written here. It was a bit of a mad thing. You can see it here actually in the scrap. At the very end of this, I came up with a recipe, and so it was a 7-step process with like state variables and things easy enough, timeouts, voting, heartbeats, the leader sending the heartbeat, and then the election timeout reset. I don't even know. It's just so much of the stuff that came into part A. RPC term sync was started here as well, as debugging was started. Refactor how phase changes are done, put that in a separate function. Debug, and then I did actually finish part A, passed both the tests after a gargantuan 6-stream effort. It's like 12 hours or something more, I think, because some of those streams were extremely long, me trying to understand the theory. Epilogue, and then you can see when I came back to it over a month later after the World Cup finished, so let's click on 7.1, my first stream when I got back to it, which you can see is 25th of July. So it's already a month and a half in. So from here until now, it was about 24 sessions and about 1.5 months, right? 25th of August and then half a month to 10th of September. And everything here is just recap. Look through the code so far. Refactor RPC term sync because it kind of stank. Recap the code so far again, summarize it, recap the theory so far, read question 2B, sketch intro, first pass. Second pass of sketching was pretty long. Second pass of sketching was just like, the commit phase, the write phase. What does all this stuff say? There's no way of reading it, is there? Even if I zoom out, it doesn't really. If I zoom in, it kind of shows a bit more text, believe it or not. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? Yeah, it's a shame I can't just get a nice list with everything written up in text format, Second pass in general, and then it was like, second pass, reacting to RPCs, okay? Yeah, that kind of stuff. There's just so much of it, it's hard to really...
And I reply with term and success, as the receiver.
Why did I just start talking in the middle of that? Commit phase. Yeah, I did the commit phase before the write phase, and sorry, Twitch is going to sell me out. I should probably just
Okay.
restart the entire web page because Twitch memory leaks quite hard. Pause. Is that Ocarina of Time? Hundo. See, if I click pause 10 times, it's still not gonna. I think it lags the graphics cards. And yeah, particularly for me because I'm. I clicked the wrong fuck. Let's try that again. There's no way to view a collection in Twitch without having to deal with this ridiculous UI, which is kind of unfortunate. I might do a summary collection somewhere. Yeah, I think that would be wise. Because you can see this just comes and goes as it pleases, and it's just absolutely awful. Yeah, I'll do that, then I won't have to mess around with this bullshit. But yeah, I mean, that's me sketching the second pass right phase. What's this? Right phase 2 out of 2. I don't know, it got split in some absolutely crazy way in the end because, obviously I improvised it. Obviously I didn't plan any of this. Session 14, I was finally ready to do it, and then I remember I split it as intro, input, vote, request. This is just me chilling for a bit. Number 47. Gotta chill sometime. Right phase, commit phase. One of them was leader, one of them was follower. The rest of question 2B, debug, refactor Q2A. Mad thing. Repair the tester. This is where I tried to repair the tester. Debug B, redo the log merges, because yeah, that was incredibly complicated. It was actually ended up being one line of code when I redid it. I remember that. How the follower merges new data from the leader into its own log if there's a conflict. Many attempts at debugging, lots and lots of bugs came up. Like if I click here, for example, we'll see one of the bugs. It'll just say it in the description. Actually, okay, this is just general debugging, no more crash bugs. Okay. The crash bugs were all about index being out of range, I remember that. Alright, so. And to think this is only 2/3 of the way through. The big fix. Do you remember what the big fix is? I don't remember what the big fix is. Oh god, I do remember. I remember it very well. This is triggering me hard.
Times.
A
This one
background,
took 0.8.
a background infinite loop.
So it's fair enough that there was.
That was just checking over and over again. A background loop with lock and unlock. That was just checking something, and I literally fixed that by only triggering it in situations where it needed to be triggered. So a manual call to run one instance of the loop. That kind of stuff. Yeah, I still can't believe I made that mistake. Passing tests, left, right, center. Lots and lots of bugs came up. So, this is a bug. I can't remember which, but you can click the video to find out. Then this chill epilogue, which got split into two because the internet cut out. Fun times. Do you remember all those times the internet cut out? God, that was fun. The memes. Then, yeah, jobs chats. Me trying to make some edits that didn't work out to the codes. Read part C, do it. Persistence points, the persister itself, pass this test, fix that. Session 26, I made the stress tester, the thing that I've been using just now to test things 200 times to make sure they're absolutely working. Just session 27, I was in the middle of splitting that up into VODs, so it was about, what was session 27 about? Yeah, it was about me actually trying to pass test C6, the test that was not working last time I left the debugging, and so the stress testing is kind of separate to that because I had a test that was reliably failing. So I passed, I tried to pass that, and it ended up being a case of that hint that I didn't follow. So here where it says next index first try, Well, 3 sessions later, next index, second try, because I didn't read the hint, which actually told me exactly what I needed to do to fix the next index optimization, to implement the next index optimization. So once I did that, it was all chill, and mic, camera, it was all chill. Test, that test passed, and in fact, the other 2 tests passed as well, but they only passed after they only passed after I made an edit to how the tester works, because the 3 attempts that I made to fix that had all failed. Literally every single one did not work. Well, actually, no, 2 attempts. As in, I had one method that was kind of the default to do nothing method. Then I tried something and it failed, and then I tried something else and it failed again. Oh no, it didn't. Sorry, it succeeded. Yeah, the last method worked. So it's kind of do nothing, no reset, hard reset, and then the one that worked was soft reset. Hard reset was resetting so hard it would just completely hang the tester. No reset was causing slowdown because of excess print debugging. I think it was, yeah, I think it was a case of excess print statements from the previous test slowing down the next test and causing it to fail reliably. Because the test was failing because it was too slow. There was no other reason. There was this one test that would continually fail. Or am I thinking of a different test? I can't remember. It was always a bit of a mystery. I never figured out why running the tests all one after the other caused one of the tests to fail more often, and it never failed when I ran it individually by itself. And so hard reset fixed that, but then it hung the very last 2 tests. And so soft reset not only fixed it, but didn't hang either. Hard reset was I locked all of the state variables permanently for the Raft instances so that they would just stop working, and the test would load a new one for the next test, and that was causing the hangs because it was necessary to restart Raft completely in the last 2 tests. Do nothing just did nothing, and so there was interference from one test to the next. And soft reset, which is what I'm doing now, is I just change the state of the program, the phase, to exit, and then put in, every time there should be a phase change, I just say, okay, exit in the situation that the state is at exit. And because things happen so fast in Raft, like another election cycle, another heartbeat sent out, or a phase change, like it'll always happen that this will get triggered in a timely manner, and that's what I realized. And so soft reset turned out to be good enough to keep everything running fast, if you see what I mean. So that's good. But yeah, my first attempt at fixing the testing is here, repair testing, session 17 and 18. That's where I implemented hard reset. And so I implemented soft reset at the end of 27. And once I did that, oh no, sorry, not at the end of 27, because I didn't have the idea. It was the beginning of 28. It was the end of 27 where I realized it was either one or the other. Either, no reset. Some of the earlier tests failed because of slowness, or hard reset, which hung the last 2 tests. That's what I realized at the end of this, as in session 27. And so yeah, I fixed that in time for session 28, and then what else did I do in session 28? It was like well, I started running the stress test properly. I think it was a short session. I fixed the tester and then just ran the stress test, and then 29, I fixed the final bug, which was causing the second test to fail 15% of the time, and it turned out to just be the timeouts for a candidate calling an election and getting votes was way, way, way too long. So I just cut it down hard, and that problem, well, that test passed 100% of the time, and that was the very last bug. So now all the tests are passing 99.5% of the time at least, out of 200 tests plus. And so it's time for an epilogue stream, just to mark the end. So yeah, I'm going to put all this up into VODs very soon now, just because of closure. I'm going to be motivated, because I was getting very lazy with making the VODs. But I just have another 4 left now, up to and including session 30, and that'll be the Raft collection. It will be like 86 videos, 65 plus hours. Bloody hell. Madness. that's it really. Let's have a look at what we've done so far, and then I'll do a bit of looking to the future as well. I don't think, yeah, I'm not going to bother, I think, flicking through all this stuff too much. I read all of the hints many times, this is something, this is what I was saying about snapshotting. To avoid running out of memory, periodically discard old log entries. Okay, fine, I'll do that. But you do not have to worry about this until the next lab. So it's going to be in project 3 that I implement a bit more stuff in Raft even. Yeah, no, I'm happy with this. I think I'm not going to read through everything again. It's all done. I read through it so many times. I know what I'm doing. I know there is, for example, this guide that I wanted to read, like the structure and the guides. I'm kind of glad I didn't read this because it kind of just gives a load of hints. I don't know. I'll still read it again, probably off the stream, just to kind of see, how I did. And I'm like, oh yeah, I ran into that pitfall. Oh yeah, I didn't run into this pitfall, that kind of thing. And the guide as well. And in the end, I didn't read either of them, but I did manage to get everything to pass. So I'll just get my popcorn and read those at the end. I might even read this one now, actually, just because it seems short enough and I can have a bit of a laugh at it, I guess. Should we do that? Let's do it. A Raft instance has to deal with the arrival of external events. I want to have shifts and control to do words by words. Yeah, it has to deal with the arrival of external events. Start calls, the two RPCs getting sent in and replies, and it has to execute periodic tasks, namely elections and heartbeats. But I mean also things like applications sending out the data to the service, to the final destination, that kind of stuff. There are many ways to structure your Raft code to manage these activities. This document outlines a few ideas. Each instance has a bunch of states. I think it should say variables. It just says a bunch of states. I love that. It's kind of like a bunch of bananas. A bunch of state. The log, the current index. Just see that the camera's still working live. Camera, mic. The log, the current index. I don't know what ANSI means. Which must be updated in response to events arising in concurrent Go routines. The Go documentation points out that the Go routines can perform the updates directly using shared data structures and locks, or by passing messages on channels, perhaps to a central Go routine that manages state changes. Interesting. Instead of using lock and unlock, why not have access to the state variables channel, which you can send commands into. Like, it would be a channel in which you send stuff like along the lines of name of variable, thing to assign to the variable. And then that channel, one Go routine would be managing it, and only one Go routine would be allowed to edit the state variables, and they would just process the things as they come in through this channel. That's cool. That's an interesting idea. That would have completely... Would it have removed the need for lock and unlock? Mutex completely? I don't think it would have. It would have, but the problem is the thing would have to wait for a response from this Go routine to say, okay, the state has definitely been edited. Continue, I think. Because this way in the code with the locking, you can be certain that you have actually made the change to the variable. Yeah, it would have made it harder, and I'm not sure it would have made it better. And MIT told me that I should use locks anyway, so can't say I'm too. Whoa! Sorry, even that crashes the fucking camera. Thank God it didn't crash the entire stream. I just held shift and clicked on Streamlabs, live, camera, mic. and that almost started a new instance of Streamlabs in administrator mode for whatever reason, with elevated privileges, and that's obviously completely unnecessary. Well, this way I can be certain that my camera is still working. Yeah, so it's like data structures, shared data structures and locks, that's what I did, or by passing messages on channels, perhaps to a central Go routine that manages state changes. Either can be made to work well, but we believe that for Raft it is most straightforward to use shared data and logs. I followed MIT's advice. Can't say I'm not happy for it. All is well. Raft instance has two time-driven activities. The leader must send heartbeats, and others must start an election if too much time has passed since hearing from the leader. Those are the two things that have timeouts. The things that we were comparing yesterday. No, not yesterday, last stream, saying like, oh yeah, leader sends all these messages out, timeout, collects responses. Candidate sends all these messages out, timeout, collects responses. Quite similar. Leader is sending out heartbeats, candidate sending out election requests. If too much time has passed since hearing from the leader. It's probably best to drive each of these activities with a dedicated long-running Go routine, rather than combining multiple activities into a single Go routine. Well, that's obvious. My entire design paradigm was make a Go routine to handle any instance of kind of logical instance of an individual task of code. So, the only time I really didn't do this is when I had to do something ASAP. But then it was still split into different functions. It's just that the function was called synchronously. So it's kind of like in a normal program moving to the next function. So it's like, almost all the time I was just saying, okay, I'm going to let Go decide how to schedule things by running the next task in a new Go routine. Everything that did not need to be synchronous, basically. So yeah, every activity in a separate Go routine. Management of the election timeout is a common source of headaches. Perhaps the simplest plan is to maintain a variable in the Raft struct containing the last time at which the peer heard from the leader. I do not have one of those at all. And to have the election timeout Go routine periodically check to see whether the time since then is greater than the timeout period. No, I just had the election timeout Go routine reset the timeout every time a response was received. Pretty sure that's what the specification said, so I don't see why I would do this. It's easiest to use time.sleep with a small constant argument to drive the periodic checks. Time ticker and time timer are difficult to use correctly. Okay. I didn't use time sleep. I just said I used time after. Yeah, I used time after. But that would always reset every time a new piece of data was received, because I did an infinite loop with a select statement, and so the select statement pulls from the earliest available Go routine, and one of those was always a timeout, time.after, which spawns a channel just in time and sends a message after a fixed duration, namely the timeout. So that would always send a message, but it would also always get cancelled if the infinite loop stepped forward, i.e. something else happened for that select loop, i.e. a message was received, if you see what I mean. I'll show you what I mean in the actual code. Basically this thing, right? It's what the follower was doing the entire time. Actually, this isn't an infinite for loop. Instead, it just runs this function over and over again, which I think is perfectly legitimate as well. So here, it's tail recursive, and so the function's going in loops. And once it hits the select statement, election reset, this is when a message is received from the leader, this gets triggered, and so we just run the same function again from scratch in a separate Go routine, not in a rush. But this is parallelized with this, which after a fixed timeout sends a message, and when that happens, it just runs a candidate change and the candidate routine. So that's what I mean. This select statement pulls the case that becomes available earliest. So as soon as a message is received in one of the channels. Very idiomatic of Go. I did not need to use wait sync routine or whatever sync wait group. And MIT told me to use that, but I managed to get around it and make it more kind of channel-based concurrency than using yet more mutexes and God knows what routines that wait on multiple routines to finish. Because you can do that in channels. Go is nice like that. You want to have a separate long-running Go routine that sends committed log entries. Sorry, shift. You'll want to have a separate long-running Go routine that sends committed log entries in order on the apply channel. So this is the apply phase, pulling from the log once commits are done and sending it on into the final destination. It must be separate since sending on the apply channel can block, okay? And it must be a single Go routine since otherwise it may be hard to ensure that you send log entries in log order. Yes. The code that advances commit index will need to kick the apply Go routine. It's probably easiest to use a condition variable, goes sync.con for this. Nope, didn't do that either. What I did for this was I had a function that does applies, insofar as applies are left over to be done. So it just, because we had the indices that track the commit level and the apply level, and so the apply just had to keep up with the commit. And so it was an infinite loop that drained until the apply index was brought up to the commit index and did an apply and incremented the apply index at each step. But, once that's done, it returned. But that loop was started whenever commit index was incremented in a separate Go routine. And if it were run again, there was some sort of, it's kind of like a mutex. There was a lock that said when sending is happening, I'll show you what I mean by that as well, because it's kind of subtle, I guess. It was in the common code. What it did was, okay, so this is what it did. It locked the false. I didn't even need a separate lock. I just co-opted the main lock on the state variables. So I pick up the lock, drain the applies, drop the lock. And so that means that apply entries, called whenever commit index is incremented. When this exits, commit index and last applied are equal. It's not going to be run again unless commit index is incremented somewhere else. Easy. And so this is not a long-running Go routine at all. It's actually a synchronous, well, not exactly synchronous. It gets called asynchronously, but when it's due, when the Go scheduler schedules it, it just does it, picks up the lock, waits until it finishes, blocks the entire program until it finishes, and then drops it. And that's completely fine, I think. There's no reason not to block while you just apply all the entries and then get on with what you were doing earlier. I think. I don't think that's going to cause some sort of reliability problem. But if it did, what I can do is something along the lines of what I did in my Pokemon Go bot, which is make apply entries not block, but make it sort of callable many times. So by not block, I mean, don't pick up the lock, which prevents anything else from happening at the same time, more or less. But what I'm saying is apply entries would have its own lock, but the lock would be a weak lock. It wouldn't be the main lock. It would be another lock that says is applying equal to true, and so applying gets set to true if if we want to run this, and then it drains. And if applying equals true, then this function does not start. So at the very beginning, there is a line saying if applying is true, do not start the function. So this function only starts if applying is false. So we only get one running at a time. It does the applies, it sets it to true, does the applies, and then sets it to false when it's done again. So it's a weak lock, weaker than this mutex, but it does the job and is less blocky, I guess. Because we can just, using that mini lock thing, we can just guarantee that there's only one thing sending at a time, wait for it to send, and then you have more control because you're not locking the entire state over how to parallelize that. But I mean, when you're sending, you need to access things from the state variables anyway, and you have to edit one of them here, this one. So it's totally fine, in my opinion, to just lock and synchronously do everything and then continue. I don't think that's going to cause problems, but that's just a different way of doing it, and that's what I did in my Pokemon Go bot. You know, the sender function, it was only ever called once because there was a sending equals true thing that was had to be false for it to start and was set to true when it started, so only one would be running at a time. It's a weak lock. So I didn't use any. I did the entire project without using this sync library. I want to see if I can continue that into projects 3 and 4, because sync is not idiomatic for Go. It doesn't use channels. It uses more traditional mutex type stuff. I guess I am using a mutex for the main Raft struct, and I think that comes from sync. You can see it here. Yeah, sync.mutex. So yeah, I am using sync in one location, as well as apparently as a word that is being used absolutely everywhere. If I look up sync dot, then okay, you know, the stuff that I did not personally implement, ignored. If I'm looking only in the Raft folder, MapReduce, master, worker, those are things I didn't edit. Config, I didn't edit. Persister. So here is Raft, the file that I have control over. It defines a mutex, and then yeah, tests, config, and this is all using, you know, sync. This is all other folders I haven't worked on yet, the shard stuff, and so in my code I've not used sync a single time, is what I'm trying to say. So I've very much kept it channel based concurrency, pure, you know, kind of purist channel based concurrency as much as I could, and I managed to avoid using sync entirely, even though MIT recommended it a couple of times. Sync wait group and sync cond they told me to use. Each RPC should probably be sent and its reply processed in its own Go routine, yes, for 2 reasons. So that unreachable peers don't delay the collection of a majority of replies, of course. Has to be asynchronous. Sending and receiving anything that involves other computers that might not reply has to be asynchronous, obviously. And, well, I mean, I say obviously, you know, Pokemon Go doesn't realize this, for example. Clicking on a gym when the internet connection breaks down completely freezes the app. You have to force close it because people are stupid. So the most basic ideas of concurrent programming can sometimes just not be respected. Yeah, unreachable peers don't delay the collection of a majority of replies, and so that the heartbeat and election timers continue at the same time, you know, can continue to tick at all times. It's easiest to do the RPC reply processing in the same Go routine. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Rather than sending reply information over a channel. Yeah, why wouldn't you do it in the same Go routine? For me, that was just because there was no reason not to, and that was the obvious thing to do. Other than, you know, the alternative, make a new channel. Why? You know, so that's cool. Keep in mind that the network can delay RPCs and RPC replies, and when you send concurrent RPCs, the network can reorder requests and replies. Of course, I mean, I've done a lot of web programming, I know that. You know, with that bot that sends messages to all sorts of channels at the same time. Figure 2 is pretty good. Figure 2 is pretty good about pointing out places where RPC handlers have to be careful about this. Yep. E.g., an RPC handler should ignore RPCs with old terms. Oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose that's a thing that arises from that consideration. Figure 2 is not always explicit about RPC reply processing. It's not exactly the same though, because there is also the situation where a server just gets disconnected and then reconnected, and then RPC term sync has to be there to ignore the RPC with an old term, because that means that whatever sent it, it got disconnected a long time ago. So it's not quite the same idea, but I guess it is, just on a bigger scale. I don't know, a complete crash. Yep. The leader has to be careful when processing replies. Figure 2 is not always explicit about RPC reply processing. Yeah, okay. Figure 2 is the blueprint, by the way. The reader has to be careful when processing replies. It must check that the term hasn't changed since sending the RPC, and must account for the possibility that replies from concurrent RPCs to the same follower have changed the leader state, e.g. next index. Replies from concurrent RPCs to the same follower? Was that an orange cat? No, that was a fox. Sick. I need to photograph a fox at night. That's one of my bucket list things. Although, yeah, I know my friend in Island Gardens has an evening fox as well, but Hammersmith doesn't have an evening fox. It's not parky enough, I guess. It's not peaceful enough. So I want to photograph some night foxes. Yeah, so we have some concurrent RPCs to the same follower. Is this supposed to say from the same follower? I don't know what it's talking about. Have changed the leader state, e.g. next index has changed. Well, I mean, what it says here is pretty important. It must check that the term hasn't changed since sending the RPCs. So I do a term sync at the point where the response is received. That's why that's fine. Term sync just handles all of that. It abstracts it away into like one easy to understand notion. Yeah, the way I've done things is not the only right way of doing things at all. Like term sync certainly could have had different rules. That was something I designed by myself. But what I've done seems to pass all the tests. So, okay, that's that. It's interesting how differently I did it from their advice. And this is kind of why I'm glad I didn't read their advice. Although I did read all of the hints. So the hints are, my project is born of all these hints, but not too much from the ideas. So I had my own ideas, I guess, how to do all that stuff. It's part of the fun, you want your hand to be held as little as possible. But the guides here, I'll read this at some point in the next few days as well. I just don't want to do it on stream because it's long for man. Oh god, this has frozen it, hasn't it? Yes, it has. Look at that lovely, lovely position that I just froze the camera in. I like my sort of my straight hair setup. It's quite nice. I've always wished my hair were a bit straighter than it actually is, and so putting the hat on after I've just washed it gives it a nice kind of straightness. I'll have to change my position at some point soon anyway, because it's just I just feel a little my butt hurts again. It's actually my lower back that's gotten a bit tired, to be honest. But yeah, I'll just move my position in a sec. Yeah, I don't know what else. It's just almost midnight now. I'm about close to finishing my epilogue stream. Project 3 is going to be next. I don't want to read too much of it. I'll just see where it takes me. But it's about doing a key value service, and God knows, log compaction. I still don't know how all this stuff really interacts with Raft. The key value service is the first, it's kind of like MapReduce, it's practical, whereas Raft is really just used to power other things. And so this is where we find out what Raft is actually for. But yeah, I don't wanna do too much of a preview. You can read it yourself if you're interested. I'm gonna leave myself blissfully ignorant. All right, let me just reposition myself. And what I will do is just talk about the future of this stream. Um, should I also? I don't know. I can't actually be bothered to go back through too much of Raft and talk about all that stuff. There was a lot of it. I'll say what I think in terms of my impressions of the project as a whole and my skills as a programmer and that kind of stuff. But going through the actual material, if there are 30 streams, you can just jump into 29 others. That's more than enough talking about Raft, in my opinion. Alright, let me reposition myself. God, this internet cable. It's cool that I managed to fix my internet cable. It's still really wobbly because the USB connector into the laptop is quite weak. But like, other than that, it's pretty good. You know, I still have that picture up in one of my recent tweets of how I managed to fix it so that it doesn't keep sliding out the way it kept sliding out before. Just realised I can double click this to maximise it from the corner, and then I can set up the camera. And then I can just double click it again to send it back into the corner, and it all works swimmingly. Yeah, the next stream, I can't make any promises. I'm definitely taking a 2-week break, or a 13-day break, I would say. So this week and this week I'm going to try, push harder to find a job. I have an interview coming up, exciting, local hedge fund type thing in Hammersmith. So that's, I'll do that this week, probably this week, next week I'm just going to push other things in my life. So push through with looking for a job, and also push through with Undertale, like I said. Try to get back on the wagon in terms of going to gigs in London, because I haven't done that for 3 months. It's kind of sad. Well, the whole time I've been doing Raft, I've barely been gigging. I had a gig at the end of MapReduce to celebrate, and then I had a gig just before my Raft hiatus. Sorry, just after my Raft hiatus. And those were the last 2 gigs I did. And that was months ago. It was June 14th, and so it's almost 3 months now. So I've got to get back on it. Perhaps I'll go jazz refreshed on Thursday. That would be nice, because then it would not be 3 weeks. Go see another fresh band, which seems kind of interesting. I think I might like them. Nihilism, in English pronunciation. Nihilism. I don't know too much about them, but they have a nice video up on YouTube. Jazz New Blood filmed them at their showcase last November. It's kind of interesting, intriguing set of instruments. I don't know. I'll listen to it again and see what I think. Live camera mic. Yeah. 2-week break. What happens after that? I don't know. I think possibly I will start streaming Project 3 as well, but I'm not going to do it the same way I'm doing it now, because it's taking far too long. I want to be in that position where I can kind of, because I've been working on distributed systems for 3 months now overall, even though MapReduce only took 1 week, and this took 30 sessions and dragged out extremely hard, and there was a month-long hiatus, and so it made things difficult, and just having to speak that much and having that kind of level of depth in what I'm doing in terms of presenting it has slowed me down a lot in terms of my normal work rate. So I think what I will do is do a stream that doesn't involve explaining things, and I'm going to try to do that. So I just stream myself doing the work, but I'm not going to make it as interactive, I'm not going to make it as explaining. If anyone has questions, they should I'll probably do that. I'll say like if anyone has questions, they should ask me, and I'm always happy to just chill out and speak, because that's kind of like when you're talking about coursework with a friend, even though they said you shouldn't do that because cheating or whatever. I'll say what I want, fam. So probably that. It would probably, I don't know, because it would be nice to be able to work outside, and maybe I'm not going to do everything live. I can always pre-record things and put them up on Twitch as well, because then I can work outside offline. Although I'd have to bring my webcam setup and everything with me. I don't know. No, I would run out of battery so fast doing that because of the video encoding. Even when recording, it takes a lot of GPU. So yeah, I'll think about it and let you know what I think. But I think there's a good chance I'm going to keep streaming, just do a kind of more silent, fast stream, where I'm just working at my normal pace. Still typing stuff out and making sketch notes and all that stuff, just with a lot less of the explanation, more mental thinking. But then I'll be able to point to projects 1 and 2, map, produce, and rough, and say, well, this is how I learned to explain what I'm thinking, to speak, into the internet, into the public, to just say what I mean, to be comfortable with myself, and above all, to be able to articulate what I'm thinking as I'm working, which is, I think, important when it comes to interviews and that kind of thing. So, yeah. That's how we're going to be streaming from now on. See how it goes. I'll let you guys know on Twitter what I decide. Yeah, concurrency, distributed systems, the best kind of programming I've done, the most interesting. All those bugs that came up, the debugging, all sorts of different things. I felt like man like Dr. House diagnosing all this shit, changing my mind a million times as well for all the bugs. Learning about how a distributed system works from the ground up, and this algorithm is fucking crazy. It's just so beautiful in its design. It's just like a democracy. Democracy has, it has a bunch of servers. All of them run the same code. One of them gets elected leader, and if it stops replying, they all time out the other ones, but they have random, pseudo random timeouts. And then they call elections and they decide who's the boss based on things like who's most up to date on the data that they have. And so someone gets elected leader again, and the algorithm just continues, and then the old leader steps down quickly when it gets reconnected because of term synchronization of election terms between the servers, which is done on every message, i.e. RPC, remote procedure call. And the way data gets passed through, it gets written ASAP, the way it gets committed. So basically, the election cycle and the data cycle, those two things are just pretty damn nice. And Raft has all that stuff and all this, crazy different ways of implementing things in Go, and it's just been a big trip. I really like Go as well. I have to say the static typing is growing on me. It just, because when I went back to Python, I just immediately found, it's so much harder to specify the structure of your program in terms of what gets taken where than to have a strongly typed, statically typed language. So, yeah, that's how it is. That's how it goes. Is Go my favorite language? I think it's still a bit too statically typed in terms of making some really stupid formalities in terms of casting, for example, where you say like, I have to type out this really stupid looking function in order to convert an integer to a string. That kind of stuff. It just makes it's quite a programmer unfriendly language. But at the same time, it's not, because static analysis of types. And also the way the packaging works, where you declare the name of a package, and every file in that folder then just acts as a single file, means you can so easily just split programs up into files, and capitalization denotes what gets exported. That's really nice. I really like that. It's a lot better than what Python and JavaScript do, where they import files and then resolve them all, and it just gets extremely chaotic, extremely fast. Caching of modules, you don't want to know what node does, it's ridiculous. It doesn't seem to be a thing in Go. I don't know, maybe I haven't used it enough to walk into these troubles. But yeah, that's it. Distributed systems, long may it continue. 2 more projects, and then, I'll find something else to do with my time. Hopefully I'll have a job by then. But it will be cool to have done that. The Python stuff, Catan, maths coursework, pure maths. Oh, I did such a nice permutations function the other day, which is very much like the stuff I was doing for my coursework in pure maths in Cambridge back in the day. Then there is the bots that I made for Pokemon Go, which got used by hundreds of people. Quite happy about that. Really well designed software. I just went to such lengths. And this as well, similarly. Although this is not practically useful, and it's totally optional, but totally fun. I like it. I like it a lot. And it's just cool as well, to prove to myself I can learn this stuff. I can, you just set your mind to it, spend the necessary amount of time, quite a long time in my case. And there it is. So, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm relaxed. And hungry. I should probably do something about that. As always. Do I start Undertale today? Maybe I'll start it tomorrow. It depends how much time I have. It would be nice to start it today, but maybe I'll prefer to sleep instead. Lovely heart. I wonder if it'll give me moral dilemmas Undertale. I don't know. See how it goes. Eventually, I think I will start streaming video games. I'll stream Super Mario Sunshine speedruns, possibly, because that just seems like a hell of a lot of fun. I might change my mind when I have to deal with the controls and the GameCube controller, but see how it goes. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Closure, finished. All over. Let me just sink down. Yeah. Not much more to say. I'm happy to leave it there. Raft is done. Project 2 out of 4 finished. And like I said, I think in a couple of weeks' time I will start streaming the 3rd project, but with a lot less speaking. It'll just be me doing to prove it to myself, kind of. Or I might just do it off stream. I don't know. I'll let you guys know what I decide on Twitter. You should definitely message me if you have requests on that front. I'd be interested to know if it would be popular for me to do the key value service project. Because this project is pretty serious, Raft. I mean, the one I've just done, 2 out of 4. So, I'm happy, that I have such a big thing up on the internet. Just kind of for posterity or whatever. That's cool. I'd have to remember to back it up to YouTube as well. Just in case it gets taken off Twitch eventually. Or YouTube, there's so many gigabytes of material. Don't know if I can't save that locally anywhere. It just has to stay on the internet, doesn't it? I think it must. Yeah. That's it. See you in a couple of weeks' time. If I see you, if not, see you on Twitter. I don't know. I'll just post. I'll post what I decide, but certainly 2 weeks I'm not doing any distributed systems at all. I'm just going to chill out. So, nice. And yeah, my history will be up pretty soon. I've already put up the first 26 streams, so I just have another 4. Turn them into VODs, videos on demand, and put them in the Twitch collection playlist for Raft, which will have 85 VOD videos, whereas MapReduce only had like 27. Raft took 4 times longer than MapReduce. It's crazy. Although there was a massive hiatus which would have dragged it out a bit, but still even 3.5 times is a bit ridiculous. Hard thing, mad thing. Well, without further ado, that's me done. Had a nice chill, a bit of a retrospective. Not too much, because I want to just kind of relax and say, this is finished. I did it. I did it. I did it. Lil. Yeah, time to chill out, get some food, get on with life, do something else fun, you know. What have you done today to make you feel good? As much as I can, do stuff that's fun and, you know, not procrastinatory or stupid. All good. 11th of September today. Ah, 9/11. Happy birthday, Michael. I always found it funny that I have one of my best friends, the Palestinian. 11th of September. 17 years. This guy's doing Breath of the Wild. That means that I can't watch because. Dude, Jesus fucking Christ, he got sub 550 in Wind Waker. Hey, 100%. That must have been a really good run. It didn't even look that good when I was looking at it in the beginning. It looked kind of okay, but 550, nobody's touching that for a while. Impressive. That's going up on Reddit, but I can't go in and congratulate him because he's fucking playing Breath of the Wild. Or maybe he's not playing it yet, but I don't know. You know, I always think like, oh, should I raid someone on Twitch? But I mean, I almost never have any viewers. Shout out to the one person watching at the moment. For all I know, that could be me because I was watching my own stream for a sec earlier in order to navigate onto the videos page. I think that's what I was doing. No, I was editing the stream title because I had it on something stupid. Yeah. Well, there's nothing else for me to say. I'm just gonna leave it there. Go get some food. Well, I had a lot of fun with the chats as well. There was a lot of chats on this project, particularly sort of between sessions 15 and 25, I would say. It was kind of peaked. So I had a lot of time. That also slowed me down in terms of the project. But maybe I should just time trial the next project, get a timer out, work fast, and when someone chats, I'll just pause the timer and go like, oh, how are you doing? How has your day been? And, you know, just answer questions about what I'm doing. Nobody in chat actually gave me a single hint throughout the entire project, which I thought was funny. But well, it's cool because I managed to do it all myself then. I just had like, a few people kind of like, God, yeah, Raft is a trip. I found this so difficult when I did it, but yeah, like them, I'm probably just going to forget all of it, which is just anything that's this complicated. That's just how it goes. You know, I did a pure maths degree. I know what it's like. You put all that effort into learning something and just forget it. Easy to relearn, but you can't keep it all in your head at the same time. So that's why I try to keep my maths simple and try to keep my Komsky simple as well. Everything I do, just so it kind of means something. It's elementary enough that I can kind of internalize it forever. You know, I don't know. Democracy algorithm, if that's that applicable, but maybe I should just get a job in distributed systems. So don't get the job in the hedge fund I'm going to interview for. But I mean, I've applied for jobs with people who have distributed systems and shit, that kind of work, and they're just not having any of it because I've never had a job. Well, their loss. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna chill out now. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Well, on my Twitch page, I will always keep everything up to date, and on Twitter as well. So you'll know if I decide to stream Project 3, the key value service. Project 4 sharding eventually. I'm thinking I'll stream it, but just make it a lot faster by not explaining everything I'm doing. So make it less about the kind of demonstrative speaking exactly what I'm thinking, and more about just doing it at my own pace and putting it up on the internet because why not? Cool. It's hard for me to say goodbye. I've done 30 of these streams and this is it. This is the last one for Raft. But yeah, it's like when you're talking to travelers, just see you when I see you. All right, and with that, I'm off.